Good morning, students. Today, the topic which we are going to discuss is orienting teachers for teaching strategies from the subject curriculum development unit 4. Now, implementing the curriculum. The learning objectives of today's topic are the student will be able to know the concept of orienting teachers for teaching strategies. The second, the student will be able to know the meaning of orienting teachers for teaching strategies. Third, the student will be able to know the importance of orienting teachers for teaching strategies. Fourth, the student will be able to know the steps for planning learning targets. Now, curriculum orientation is a brief about the purpose of education. Now, what is the purpose, aim, or goal of education, such as curriculum intent, content, organization, teaching methods, learning activities, and instructional assessment of a curriculum. Now, content, what topic should be included? Organization, topics or content should be organized. Teaching methods, various teaching methods that the teacher can use. Activities, different activities which will be used by the teacher for the experiences or learning to the learners, and instructional assessment of a curriculum. This definition in 2000 learning targets, e-students can be broken down into a number of modules. Means that each subject can be broken down into a number of modules. Now, steps for planning learning targets. The teacher can plan the learning targets that make up the modules in the following four basic steps. Means there are the four basic steps that are required. First one, specifying learning targets in behavioral terms means we have to specify that these are the learning targets in the behavioral terms. All learning targets should be expressed in observable behavior or skills means the learning targets which has been decided should be expressed in such a way that it can be easily observable, that behavior can be easily observed, or skills that has been developed. For example, when instructed, the children are able to button up their shirts with for full time. For example, when an instruction was given to a particular student that the children has to button up their shirts with 6 buttons for full time. Each learning target in its written form should contain the following elements. A. Target behavior. This is the behavior that the children are expected to achieve in the target. This is the behavior, means that type of behavior that the children are expected, that it is expected to achieve after learning or mastering a particular subject or a particular topic. Is prerequisite skill. These are the basic skills that the children should have mastered before learning more difficult skills. Means these are the prerequisite skills. Means the pre-knowledge of those skills are before the students are learning the more difficult skills. Instruction and material required. To the instruction and material required for teaching. What instructions are needed and what material are required to student. The conditions under which the instruction should be given may sometimes be included. The conditions, the situation under which the instructions should be given to the students may sometimes be included. Criteria of Let's refer to the number of successful performances of a target skills required out of a fixed number of attempts. That these are the fixed number of attempts which was given to a particular pupil before the target to have been mastered by the children. Setting teaching priorities. Now, what are the different priorities has to be set. A very important part of curriculum implementation is that teachers should consider it is the duty of the teacher that he or she should consider carefully the order in which the target, the order, the sequence in which the learning target should be learned by the learner. It is logical to put learning at lower level skills. Now, it is logical, it has some reasons that we should put learning targets which require lower level skills before those requiring higher level skills. These form the lower level. For example, teaching the children to draw lines before teaching them to write. Of the line is the lower level skill that will be required by the students, and the higher level skill will be that will be able to write. In some cases, the targets themselves may form a different sequence of hierarchy when the skills actually come in a continuous or a chain sequence. For example, putting on a shirt and button. Some higher level targets can be learned quickly after the prerequisite skills have been mastered by the or the student. For example, learning to write will become easier. It will become easier for write some when eye-hand coordination skill has been acquired. The student can learn easily or easily when he or she has developed a proper eye-hand coordination. It follows that unrelated can be in order. Now, the third one is specifying baseline assessment procedure. Procedures to identify the current skill level. What is the current skill level of the learners, or the prerequisite skills of the children, or what are the different prerequisite skills that has to be learned by the learner. The assessment enables the teacher to know whether or not the children have acquired the prerequisite. The assessment process helps the teacher to know whether the student have acquired the prerequisites or not required for learning the target, and that the knowledge of the prerequisite skills, whether that student have prerequisite skills or not, it is the necessary information that is required for learning the target. Now, procedure for writing programs to teach target skills. With the prerequisite skills of the children, we have information or the knowledge that these are prerequisite skills of the children. The teacher can then learn materials. Now, what the teacher has to do? Now, the teacher has to make a proper design, which the teacher can help them to achieve their target skills. Material should be designed in small steps and in order of difficulty. Means it should move from simple to complex. It should be designed in simple steps. It should not have difficult steps. The teacher should choose the appropriate steps for children according to their prerequisite skills. Means it should be according to the prerequisite skills, that the knowledge of the prerequisite skills is very necessary, so as to bridge the gap between the prerequisite skills and the target skills. Now, what has to be done? That there should be a bridge set up by the teacher between the prerequisite skills that are necessary and the target skills which the teacher wants to learn. Now, teaching approaches to teach target skill. Teaching approaches, if the teacher wants that his children learn that target skills effectively, and should adopt these approaches. First one is modeling. Children learn imitating, means they learn by copying other people's behavior. Modeling, therefore, underlines most of the learning activities. So, most of the learning by the learner does by modeling, by what others are doing. The teacher can either demonstrate behavior to be learned, means the teacher can present that this behavior should be presented in that way. Learn or point out the target behavior for other children, or he that this is the best behavior for that particular child. Of the target behavior performed by other children and encourage the children to imitate it. And he can encourage the other children in the present class that they should imitate the behavior that was done by that particular child. Now, task analysis. Task analysis is a way to break down target skills into small steps. Means we have to break down the target skills which we want our students to learn into smaller parts according to their ability and learning needs. These should be divided into smaller steps on the basis of what are the abilities of the children, capabilities the children, and what are their learning needs. The teacher can then teach the steps in a planned sequence manner. Task analysis should be used with flexibility, not be a rigid process that should follow in that way only. With flexibility, help fit further difficulties in learning the planned steps. The technique can also be applied to blocking further break down the planned steps into even smaller steps for easier learning. Once the difficulty is overcome, the original teaching steps can be resumed until the target skill is achieved. Now, once the difficulty is overcome, uh, what can a teacher can do? The teacher can teach the students with the oriental steps, and teacher can resume steps only still the target skill has been achieved. Now, chaining this breaking down a target skills into a series of steps to describe the activity performed in sequence. That way, we are breaking down a target skill that we want our students to learn into a series of steps, into a various steps to describe the action to be performed. It defines that these are that has to be performed and these actions to be performed in a particular sequence. The sequence can be written forward or backward order. The sequence can be in a written form. It can be moved from forward to backward or from backward to forward, depending on the nature of the target skill to learn. It's all depends on the nature of the target skill which we want our students to learn. For example, most dressing and undressing skills can be taught by children. We want our students to learn that what is the most dressing and undressing skills that can be easily learned by the child by the chaining approach. The more effective approach to teach dressing skills is backward chaining. That we will follow a backward order training to the children if we want them to learn the effective of dressing skill, because this would ensure that children will be able to complete the task. Overtraining would be more appropriate in teaching target skills such as operating a washing machine or writing one's own name. If we want that the children should learn in a forward sequence, it would be more appropriate making them learn such as how to operate the washing machine or how to write one's own name. Discrimination learning, when the target skills to be learned involves choosing the right answer. Here, the target skills to be learned only when we are able to choose the correct answer. Discrimination is more effective approach, means the students are able to discriminate between things. For example, a child is given several choices, means a child has given choices, including some distractors. Some distractors are there from which to pick out the correct answer from the given. choices, the student has to pick out the correct answer. What will be the correct answer? This approach it is necessary both the characteristics and the number of distractors used. Initial stage means at the difference between the distractors and the target choice should be as great as possible and the number of distractor used should be as small as possible. Means the number of distractors should be used by the teacher in a very small manner and the number of choices can be more. This the strength of the distractor should be low. Those things which are able to distract the learner should be in low. Example, a circle and a big square, then a circle and a square, and finally a circle. As the child begins to master the initial steps, the student has mastered that particular step. The number of distractors used can be increased gradually. Increase the number of distractors. Information gathering. Children may sometimes lack the information required to analyze the problem they encounter. Information that is required by them to analyze the problem which they encounter. The children should together relevant information means it is the of this teacher that they should teach them how to gather a relevant information, the correct information various sources, from different sources. Example, teachers that can be from which they can collect the information, parents, newspaper or the library, and help them develop a effective and systematic way to deal with problems if with the information they have collected various sources will help them to develop a more positive means attitude which is not subjective and systematic way and an organized way to deal with the problems. Activities such as organizing a birthday or a picnic would help the children understand the process of information gathering and important. Now, all these things, how to organize these activities, would help the children understand the procedure of information uh, technique or the approach which can be used for collecting or for understanding the information and what is the importance of collecting these informations. Now, induction. This is an approach the children from a holistic concept from the character of different things. Now, induction is an approach which can be used by the teacher to help the children form a holistic concept, the whole concept of a particular thing from the characteristics, from the various characteristics of different things. The children are thus trained to observe the various characteristics of things. Now, in that, train the children so that they can observe the various characteristics of things. Their similarities, what are the similarities that exist between those things, different differences that these two objects have, as well as relationship and what type of relationship they form, and then exercise induction. And after that, we will apply the induction concept. Now, this approach is often used in group teaching. Now, the discussion approach is used when a teacher is conducting a group teaching. Through discussion is with the way of discussion, children learn to solve problems. They will develop a habit to learn to look into the problems that are thing. Look into the problem. It will motivate and encourage the students to think. Discussion, they express their own views. When they are involved in the discussion, they express their own views and at the same time listen to other children. And only given an opportunity express their views, but at the same time, it is developing the students that they will listen what children are saying so that they can review their own. After hearing the views of children, what will happen? They can review their own. Teacher needs to ensure that each child is given equal opportunity to participate in discussion. Now, it's the responsibility of the teacher should ensure that each child is given equal opportunity to participate in discussion. Has the equal right to express their views during the discussion. Thus, discussion can promote greater interaction among the children. So, it's what will happen? It will promote greater interactions. More important still, they help the children to realize the importance of accepting other people's views while expressing their own. Now, why discussion is so much important? It's so much important because the children not only able to learn how to express their viewpoints, they are also learning how to respect other ideas when they are expressing it. In the new work order, young people will need excellent and digital literacy, critical thinking, creativity, financial safety, flexibility, the ability to collaborate, self-efficiency, to survive and thrive in a radically altered economy. Now, in the new work order, it has been said that the young people need excellent enterprising skills. So, digital literacy means they have knowledge of computers, laptops, critical thinking. They should have in the ability to think critically. Creativity. They should be involved in dialogical thinking, financial saving, flexibility. They should not be rigid. The ability to collaborate with other individuals or students, self-sufficiency. It will develop in them to survive in that world and thrive in a radically altered economy. But unless students are creative, only thinking in cognitive way, curious, and resourceful, they will neither be prepared for a lifetime of learning. If students are involved in that, then we are not preparing them for a lifetime of new things, for new things, nor be able to thrive in a fast changing world. For only are resilient and resourceful, they will neither be prepared for of learning new things nor be able to thrive in a fast changing. What is metacognition and self regulation? What do we call metacognition and what is a self cognition and self regulation approaches aims to help learner think about their own learning. Metacognition means thinking on thinking, means we are thinking again and again. This is usually by teaching students specific strategies. The teachers teach the students specific strategies to set goals, that these are the set goals, and monitor, and we will monitor their progress and evaluate academic development, and we will evaluate the academic development of the learner. Regulation. Managing one's own motivation. That one's own motivation towards learning intention is often to give students a liberty of strategy to choose for during learning activities. What to consider when teaching metacognition and self-regulation? be keep in mind of the teachers when they are teaching them the concept of metacognition and self-reflection. Teaching approaches which encourage learner to plan means we should motivate the learners to plan, monitor whether all the planning is or know whether the planning which they have made according to that execution has been done or not means everything has to be monitored and evaluate and they have to judge their learning have very high potential but require careful implementation. Have you taught students explain strategies on how to plan means strategies how to plan monitor and evaluate aspects of learning. Have you taught means if the teacher has taught the student strategies on how to make a plan, monitor the and evaluate the specific aspects of the learning. Give them opportunity to use with support and then independently. Whether have opportunities where they can use them with support, have their support, and then independent. Have you asked students to have asked students to do these things? Identify the different ways that they could plan, means the different ways that they can approach to plan something, and then how best to approach a particular task or best approach can be used by the students to perform a particular task. Specifically, the task might go wrong and consider that at this the task has been gone in the wrong direction. Identify achievement standard. The first standard is foundation to level 2, and then at level 4, 6, 8, and 10. Towards foundation level, level A to D for students with disabilities is included. Implementing the capabilities tutorial curriculum F10 includes capabilities which are a set of discrete knowledge and skills that can and should be taught explicitly. It is expected that the skills and knowledge defined in the capabilities will be developed among the learners. Practice it should be practiced in a manner deployed and demonstrated by a student in and through their learning across the country. However, to teach this, an example, content description. We have to describe the content. Examine how different kinds of questions can be used to identify and classify information. Different kinds of questions, various questions that can be used to identify, to find out and clarify the information, ideas and possibilities. Achievement standard part of student apply questioning as a tool to focus and expand thinking. Now possibilities, where will it be? Introduce, develop, practice, deployed or demonstrate. Planning for in learning. Examine how different kinds of questions can be to identify and clarify information, ideas, and possibilities. What will you teach to progress the students' learning? Consider how to approach and use questions that have different elements, including factual, temporal, conceptual elements. By the end of level 6, students apply questioning as a tool to focus or expand thinking. What will the students able to demonstrate and progressing towards the standards or not? By the end of level 8, students practice the elements of a question and justify their selection. Analyzing how whole school planning. What are the implications when English is used as the main vehicle for teaching practical and creative thinking? Now, when the teacher is teaching with English, English is used as the main for teaching creative and critical thinking among the learners. How do you build consistency for the students and how you will able to build consistency for the students? What are the implications for sequencing the concept? What are the different implications for sequencing the concept in that particular order? How do you overteach the content? Now, assessing, if we articulate learning progressive with standards, we can teach it and assess several or one out. Here the reason, some pictures are there, A, B, C, D. On the basis of seeing the picture, the student has to circle out odd one out first thing. Then give a reason for your choice. Then you have to say why you have chosen that thing as an odd one out. Key messages, critical and creative thinking are fundamental for effective learning, are important for effective learning. Across the curriculum, the Victorian curriculum F10 designs assume that knowledge and skills are transferred from one thing to another across the curriculum and therefore are not duplicated. For example, bare skills and knowledge, such as asking questions, evaluating evidence, the way in which we evaluate the evidences, and drawing conclusions, and we can come to a proper conclusion, are defined in critical and creative thinking. These are not duplicated in other learning areas such as history or health and physical education. Expert teaching of and the application of thinking skills enable students to develop an increasingly sophisticated understanding of the process. They will understand the process. They can employ whenever they encounter both the familiar and unfamiliar things. To break down in ineffective habits, and these are the ineffective habits, they can easily break them and build on successful one. Building a capacity to manage their thinking that is productive, purposeful, and intentional is at the center of effective learning, and the creation of new knowledge means we are creating some new with the progressive development of knowledge. As the development of the group knowledge continues about thinking and the practice of using thinking strategies and the way in which we are using these thinking strategies. Fostering students, it encourages the students. Motivation for motivate and encourage them, and management of their own learning. So today, students, we have how to open the teachers with the different strategies or the techniques. For further reading on this topic, you can refer these references. Now, now let us discuss some MCQs, as MCQs are the best way to judge the learning outcomes of the learner. Now, the first one is that who stated that means who has given this definition. Curriculum orientation is a personal belief. That curriculum orientation is a personal belief about the purpose of education, what is the goal of education, such as curriculum intent, content, organization, teaching methods, learning activities, and instructional assessment of curriculum. So, who has given this particular definition? Now, the options are A. Joe, B. Bacon, C. Alexander, or it's D. Jackson. Now, students, you have these choices, and now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the choices. And the correct answer is yes, the correct answer is option A, that is Joe has given this definition. Learning targets should be expressed in dash behavior skills. Now, how we should express the learning targets in dash behavior skills. Options are A. Observable, B. Coding, C. Practical, or it's D. None of the above choices. Now, students, you have these four options. Now you have to select the correct one. And the correct one is yes, the correct one is option A, that is observable. Option 3 is dash is the behavior that the children are expected to achieve, that we want our children to expect to achieve that behavior after learning or mastering the target, after they have learned or mastered a particular target. Options are target behavior, non-target behavior, C. Observe, or C. All the above given choices. Now, students, these are the choices A, B, C, D, and now you have to select the correct one on the basis of the correct choice. And the correct answer is yes, the correct answer is option A, that target behavior. Dash skills are the basic skills. These are the basic skills that the children should have mastered. That children should have mastered before learning other more difficult skill. Means the learning or mastering of that prerequisite skill is necessary before learning a different difficult skill. Now the option A, prerequisite, B. Instructional and material required, C. Criteria of success, or is D. Target behavior. Now these are the choices A, B, C, Now you have to select the correct one, and the correct option is option A, that is prerequisite skills are the basic skills that the children should have mastered before learning other difficult skills. Question 12. Dash refers to the instruction and material required for now, which to the instruction and material that is required for teaching. Options are prerequisite, B. Instructional and material, C. Criteria of success, or it's D. Target behavior. Now these are the options A, C, D. Now you have to select the correct one. And the correct one will, yes, students, what will be the correct answer? Yes, the correct answer will be instruction and material required. Now the sixth one refers to the number of successful performances of on target skills. Refers to number of performances of on target skills required out of a fixed number of attempts, and that is required out of a fixed number of attempts before before you have learned that target is considered to have been mastered by the children, and which is considered important that has been mastered by children. Now the options are A. Prerequisite, B. Instruction material required, C. Criteria of success, or it's D. Target behavior. Now options, and now you have to select the correct one. Yes. Now what will be the correct answer? Now, the correct is option C. That is criteria of success. Now, setting teaching priorities is we are deciding that these are the priorities of the teaching. Is a very important part of curriculum. Is this a very important curriculum? Implementation is that the teacher should consider carefully the order in which learning should be learned, in which the learning should be learned. Now, the options are A, true, this statement is true. Option B, false, whether this statement is false. Now, these are the choices. You have to choose whether this statement is correct or false. Now, what will be the answer? Yes, students, what will be the answer? Yes, the answer will be true, means option A, means this statement is true. Now, eighth one, specific baseline assessment procedure. Specify that these are the baseline assessment procedure. Is the classification of the procedure. Is the specification of the procedure that has been identified. Dash level of the that procedure will be employed, and that will be used to identify that level of the children. Now, options are current skill, means skill of the learning. B, identify skill, means we will identify that these are the skills that are present. Option C, previous skills, means the skills that has been learned by the learner before, or it's option D, all the above given choices. Now these are the choice options A, B, C, D, and now you have the correct one, and the correct answer will be yes. Will be the correct answer. The correct answer will be the current skill, means specifying baseless assessment procedure is the specification of the procedure to identify what are the current skill levels of the children. Now, question 9. The learning materials should be designed in. How the learning material should be designed? What should be their specific designing purpose or manner? Dash steps and in order of difficulty. Now the options are small means it should be designed in a small step. B. Long steps should be design the learning material in long steps. C. Fixed steps there is a fixed procedure for designing the learning material and that fixed steps should be when you are preparing for learning material. Or the last one is duplicate. The learning material should be designed in a duplicate step. Means that step has been done before, then again we are using that particular step. Now, these are the options. You have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be yes. What will be the correct answer? Answer will be a option A, that is small, means the learning material should be designed in small steps. Now, question 10, dash means breaking down a target skill. Means you are calling that in that we are breaking down a target skill in series of steps, and that target skill divided into a series of steps to describe the action to be performed, and that dividing or breaking down a target skill into a series of steps, it describes actions that have to be performed and which sequence or order that actions has to be performed. Now the options are A. Chaining, B. Shaping, C. Both chaining and shaping, or it's D. None of the above given choices. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of given choices. Yes, students, what will be the correct answer? Yes, the correct answer will be option A, that is chaining. Thank you, students. With this you have understood the concept of orienting teaching with different techniques, the meaning of that, important different steps that has been required for that, and how it should be done so that it should have metacognitive and self-regulated critical thinking among others, so that they should be benefited by that learning in their future lives also. Thank you, students. Thank you so much for your patience.